Well, yeah, John, I mean, like, there was a previous video where, it says, like, Darth flips Matt and John. I mean, you guys kind of, like, obviously,
Yeah, I actually responded to that, by the way, but
because they're, like, obviously very, like, sympathetic. And I kind of don't blame you in some ways. I think I was talking to Matt about this, and then I was telling Matt that when I made that first video where it was supposedly they wanted to talk to you about, your moderation, the so-called discussion about the moderation really turned into um, a very long, extended, like bringing up things that happened months and months and months ago. And it really seemed like it had more to do with all this other history than the actual
you're very
moderation.
perceptive, Tom, because that's exactly what it was about. The mod ship was an excuse to create a public forum to discuss grievances from the past. They had me
Right.
blocked for 6, right? So
Right,
I
but
think you recognize.
I tell you what though, John, I didn't have to hear that discussion to know that was the case immediately after, because when he said, "Oh, right when it happened," he said, "I'm like disgusted by what you did, John, and I'm leaving," and blah blah blah. I automatically knew there was previous history because that what you did was more of an inaction, and frankly, even inaction wasn't even that bad in that case. I mean, uh, so it just didn't. It wasn't proportional. That's what the problem. So I immediately knew, okay, that these people have some history. And here's what I would tell you, John, though, because I can tell, even though I agree with you, right? I think that you are, because I cut out almost an hour of them talking to you about this other stuff that nobody else knew about. I have no idea what you're talking. Had nothing to do with the moderation. It was almost an hour, to the point that afterwards some guy came in and said, "Yeah, was it really necessary to go on for an hour about how John is such a horrible person, blah blah blah?" No, right? Obviously. But the point is that yeah, it was excessive, and but here's the thing. I can tell that you're bringing a little bit of that baggage, and it's actually clouding your judgment a little bit about Darth, because you have this slight animosity towards them for raking you over the coals, rightfully so, I think, right? Because they did treat you bad and disproportionately chastised you. But I can also tell that you got that in the back of your mind, and when it comes to them versus someone like Darth, or it could be anyone, you're more sympathetic because of it, right?
I
I can tell you're not completely objective about it.
I would disagree with that observation, Tom. I think I can see how you would think that as well. Uh, are there are there certain situations that are not completely resolved in my mind or reconciled in my mind or with certain individuals? Yes. However, would it, as you said, cloud my judgment as to Darth? I think that with regard to the treatment of other people, I mean, I personally have not blocked a person ever in 20 years, 23 years of dealing with atheists. And I've never blocked a Christian. I've never blocked an atheist. I've never blocked anyone, period. And so I'm being actually pressured by groups of people to block Darth. And it's not that I'm trying to defy these people that I don't block Darth. That's just simply what I don't do. And so it can be thought
Well,
that this is the reason.
I, I'm not really referring to that. I mean, I understand that it gets a little weird when people are like, you need to block this person. Yeah, I don't always agree with that, right? But when you went into a room with Darth regarding the Connie situation, and you apologized to him for the Connie situation, and meanwhile never said anything about, like, maybe he was being an ass, yeah, bud, you're definitely probably not even aware of it. but it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and you know those people are at odds. And I look, John,
No,
I've seen
I
it
will say
happen
this, Tom.
dozens and dozens and dozens of times before. I'm not saying like you're gonna just like follow him into burning buildings. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it exists and it is obvious. Okay,
Okay,
it's
well,
obvious.
I'll say this, Tom. With regard to that particular, there was a lot of dynamics going on there. I knew everybody but this Tim guy. No regrets. But I know Connie. I speak to her all the time. In fact, I spoke with her today. I have her personal number, and so these are the dynamics that are going on with regard to Connie's my personal friend, not Darth. And so, um, I guess what I'm trying to say is that when that happened with Darth, listen, Darth was not on any blacklist or block, cancel culture with these Christians. Okay, not when you first made that particular video. So that premise that you have with regard to my interaction with these people, they were not against Darth at that time. In fact, I believe that day or even the day before, I actually muted Darth, and I had so many people uh, saying, "What are you doing, muting a Christian in favor of a Muslim and giving a platform for a Muslim?" So this
Well,
is
that's what I was the one talking about. But however, what you just said supports my argument more than it does
okay.
yours. Because
John,
what you just said was prior to me knowing that Darth and Silver Star and Co were at odds, I muted Darth and I was like, I was moderating him. And that's the whole point of the argument is that after you knew that, right? You didn't. That's a
John, you're
great
gonna
Oh,
that's
I
great
think you're saying,
evidence.
okay. So
John,
you're
you're gonna
saying,
have to
okay,
pick a
wait a minute. Wait.
lane.
I think
You're
what
gonna
you're
have to
trying to
pick a
say is
lane.
that because I was criticized so heavily, it affected my judgment as to not mute Darth
Not I'm not
the
referring
next
to any
interaction,
particular
maybe.
action. I'm
Is that
just
what you're
like
saying?
I'm not referring to like any like particular action necessarily. I'm just saying that like I listed some things that like pointed to it, right? For example, like when Darth is battling with Silver Star and blah blah blah, and or the other day when you came in and you apologized to Darth. However, any mention of like, hey, like I know that you may not think that you're being rude. I know you may think that you're just air quotes assertive, but like you gotta understand that how you come across isn't gonna be. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt, even. I'll say that you may not have the intention of being rude, but you need to know how you're coming off, and it is rude. There was absolutely no attempt, anything even resembling any addressing of Darth wrongdoing, period. And that just
Oh,
seems
not
like,
not in public. No.
what?
Now, I guess what I'm trying. I had plenty of communications with Darth in the back channel, but I will
And how
say
does
this.
it go? Does he ever say you're right? I'll try and do better? Has he ever
No, he
said that?
basically
No,
he
exactly.
basically said something to the fact that you're showing your true colors and
Right.
you
The
know,
point
right.
is, you can't you
But this
can't
is
be
my
a
point.
neutral
This is my.
moderator. You're either on
Hey,
Team
I
Darth
have a
or you're
quick
not.
question.
But
Based
I
on
will. I will.
Darth's interactions, do y'all think John would be able to sit him right?
No, I think
Wait,
you're either on Team
Okay, so
Darth
I
or
don't
wait, what
you're
was
understand
the
what
you're
the problem.
question? What was the question?
I mean, do y'all
but
actually think you would be able to that John would somehow be able to sit Darth right based on
What
how
does
y'all
no.
feel
what
about
does that
Darth?
mean? Sit him right. What does that mean?
Well,
Uh,
y'all were complaining that John did not stand up to Darth. I mean, do you think that's going to?
Well, no, it's
no.
not a matter of changing Darth, but having Darth adhere to the rules that are applied to everybody else. Darth comes in, interrupts conversation, does not get muted after several altercations, and if someone else does anything to the contrary, they actually get kicked off a stage. So it seems to be
Ugh.
hypocritical how Darth gets away with a lot. Now, however, what's his name did finally moderate, mute him, and then put him to the stage.
Well,
Both
I
you
mean, to
guys.
be fair to John, I don't see John kicking any people really off the stage much at all anyway. So it's not like he's showing
the only
favoritism to
person I
Darth.
sent down today was Justin. But in any
Both
Well,
you.
case,
I I got
But I
kicked
would
off
like
the
to
stage
respond
today.
to I would like to respond to Tom a bit. I have gotten a lot of comments with regard to my apology. I don't know if you know exactly what my apology to Darth was regarding that matter. Do you happen to know, Tom?
Video?
No,
Are you
you're
asking
aware that I made an apology to Darth, correct?
in a video? It's on my channel. It's recorded. Are you referring to that video or some other video
Well,
or
I
some
don't. I
other
mean,
apology?
I've made an apology, but I guess
You
my question.
apologized for not stepping in, and you said you should have. That's what you apologized for.
You should have
Correct,
stopped Connie.
correct.
You said you should have stopped Connie from making her criticisms of Darth
Thank
to
you, Haiti.
Darth.
That's actually very accurate. That's the
Yeah,
reason why I apologize to
yeah,
Darth specifically because
yeah.
as a moderator, allowed someone to come up to the stage. The conversation was going pretty decently before that, and she kind of created a little bit of drama to bring her
Mhm.
grievances out in public to a certain person that is not very receptive to those kind of comments, and I allowed that. And so I apologize to Darth for letting Connie be make these public comments.
Let me.
That so Haiti
I
has it
disagree.
correct.
I disagree with that. I don't think you should have done that. In all honesty,
No, you think
at
I should
all.
have let Connie go?
I think that this is what happened. Connie was speaking in generalities. Darth interrupted her as he does. He's very rude. Connie said, "There you go again, Darth, interrupting me like you always do." Okay, so Connie did not start off accusing Darth. Darth caused that by interrupting her, and all she said was, "This is what you do." And so I don't think it's Connie that started this. I think it was Darth.
Okay, I mean,
I mean, is that
just
not
from
I
my
don't know
is
why
that
you guys are so
recollection.
charitable. Like, I mean, it's like, I even remember. I don't know if it was Matt or Matt was saying something like, what was he saying? Ah, I just forgot it. So it was on the tip of my tongue.
I
But you
think
know
you
what?
just have
I
to
genuinely get what you're saying. I'll
I
say that.
think all I'm saying is you cannot be neutral with Darth. You are either all in, ride or die, or you are dead to him.
Oh,
So
I remember.
you guys just have to make a choice. You think you can be fair-handed. If you don't run the room the way he commands you to do so, then you're no good to him. So either be Team Darth or, disavow him. Those are your only two choices.
Really quickly before I forget, I think it was Matt who was. It's. I mean, I can barely say it with a straight face. If it was Matt, I'm sorry. I don't know who it was, but Silver Star was talking to some guy, and he was like, "Yeah, he was rebuking Connie," and the person was like, "No, I don't think it was a rebuke. I don't think it was correction." And it's just like, absolutely,
Yeah, that was me. I don't think he
absolutely
Oh,
was.
I
laughable.
love that
I
comment
wouldn't.
by
He
Matt.
was saying that he was rebuking her in public,
Absolutely,
and I wasn't
yeah.
sure what he meant by rebuking. But he never actually said you're wrong. He was questioning her, and
How did
Silver
you
Star said that was rebuking. Now, from my perspective, Silver Star's talking about going. You do it from a biblical perspective. Well, from my perspective, if you're going by a biblical perspective, then you confront people who says something that's unbiblical. So technically, you could make the argument that Darth was taking a biblical approach as well.
Yeah, but are
And
what
you?
did
Silver Star
If
what
was
you
what?
you
ignoring.
can say technically you can make the argument, but like, what are you, his lawyer? Or are you interested in like creating like a defense that's
What I was
possible, or
upset about.
are you interested in actually like what we think like
No, I was
abductively is the
honestly I
case?
didn't care. I didn't give one crap what Silver Star thought, and I didn't give one crap what Darth thought. In fact, when Darth was in there today saying, "Get a hold of your room moderators," I purposely did not act. I don't tolerate people telling me what to do in a room, and so I will let it turn into a shit show because I'm not going to have people running all over me. Now the problem
Well,
I saw with Silver Star was that here he was, confronting Darth in public and then talking about how Darth should have taken this to the back channel with Connie, but then just a few days earlier he was running John all over the place, confronting him in public.
No,
That was the problem I had with Silver Star. He was
yeah,
very
that's
inconsistent. And I even told him that, and he kept muting me. I also
Like,
told Progressive Pilgrim that. That was the
yeah,
issue
like
I
I
had
told
with the
you,
whole thing.
I think that's a good point. But I mean, it's just crazy for you to like make a good point like that, which I agree with. Look, Matt, I got my hand up. I agree with you on that. It's a good point.
Why would you
But
want
that,
to let your room become a shit show when you could just simply temporarily mute Darth and have him?
Because I'm not a babysitter. I don't give a crap what I've been in rooms where it's turned to dumpster fires. I can't tell you how many times, and it just doesn't bother me. I mean, if people don't like it, leave the room and go create your own room. You
yeah,
have
it's
the
fine.
freedom to do that.
Yeah,
That's the way I look at it.
yeah,
And
but
I was at work today. I wasn't going to babysit a bunch of people that were
I,
grown ass adults
I
that
got you.
couldn't
yeah,
I
control
got it. You're
themselves.
repeating
That's the way I
yourself.
look at it.
I'm just
I
saying that, like, look, you doing the whole lawyer thing for Darth, saying like maybe this, maybe that. You have like no history with them. Some of the things that you said were like laughably incorrect. I actually have, and if you
Like
want
what?
me, if you want that he wasn't trying to correct her, that's laughable. That's absolutely laughable.
I think
I
his
could and
motive was probably to correct her. I think that's what it was. But he
absolutely.
wasn't openly correcting her in public at that point. No,
What are you talking about?
there
I
was no
mean,
point. In fact, I specifically asked him about Billy Graham. I specifically said, "Are you saying Billy Graham is not a Christian?" He said, "No, that's not what I'm saying." He actually admitted that. But Connie thought that's what he was saying based on her reaction. So now, as
He
far
was
as the
correcting
abortion thing,
her on some
I
conceptions that she had about Billy Graham, point blank. And if you look,
No,
all,
he never did say Billy Graham was not a Christian. That's the point. He
that's
just said
that's
that
that's a
there's some.
specific point. I said he was correcting her on some conceptions that she had about Billy Graham.
I
I
That's
think
true.
Connie
That's
would
period.
also
That's
agree.
fact.
No, wait, I spoke with Connie. She agrees that some of the comments by Billy Graham are deeply disturbing. So she admits this. It
But
doesn't
that
take
just
Darth
means that she was
Dawkins.
corrected by Darth. John,
So
John,
what's
you
wrong
do a
with correcting?
No,
John, you
where
do
do
a
you get this
What's wrong with
fantastic job
correcting
of making
anybody?
my points for me.
Wait a minute, Tom. Where do you get this
Tom,
idea that
what's
the
wrong
words
with
of Darth
correcting anybody?
Dawkins convinced Connie? That's the supposition. I don't
When you
agree
say
with.
that she admits that she like some of these things were disturbing, and I'm taking it to mean that like
Not because of Darth.
Darth says like I presented her X, Y, and Z facts about Billy Graham, and you're saying what she said was disturbing is none of those things.
Listen, him bringing facts. I believe. I mean, I wasn't. I was actually there, but asleep. From my understanding, he brought up Robert Schuller Hour of Power interview as evidence for Billy Graham. Once she saw the evidence, once she was provided the evidence by Dark, and she viewed it herself, she acknowledged that's highly problematic.
Right?
And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
she
my
was
point
corrected
is,
on her conception of
my
but
Billy Graham.
so my
Exactly.
my
but she
so my
also
point is,
said,
as far as a
But what's wrong
rebuke or
with
anything
that?
like
Because
that.
I felt like he
Well,
corrected me as well
that's
because I
there's
had a different
nothing.
perception.
I don't give
That's
an.
the whole
I don't
point.
care about that. But you guys are saying that it wasn't a correction. So when you say what's wrong with
Do you
him,
feel
what's
corrected,
wrong
Matt?
with him correcting her? Well, the
I
whole
felt
point
like
of
he
this
was. I
discussion is
felt
that
like
you were
he was
adamant that
correcting.
he was not correcting her, and now it seems like
The
you're saying
problem
that.
was Silver Star was saying that was something he should not done. But of course, Silver Star
well,
was using the term rebuke, not correction.
No, but
the
he
Matt, do you feel you were rebuked?
when
He
he
was using the
was
term rebuke.
when you asked Silver Star and you guys hashed out what rebuke was, he clearly said correction. Fact.
When I asked what?
I said that's a fact.
the
Say that again. I didn't
interaction.
hear you.
When you asked or when he defined rebuke, because you said something like, "What do you mean by rebuke?" and he explicitly said correction.
Oh yeah,
And
and I
you said,
disagreed with that.
yeah, and you
Because I didn't see rebuke and correction as the same thing
well, he
necessarily.
just means, look, by the word rebuke, he means correction. So if you engage with him further, you know what he means by the word rebuke.
Matt, the interaction clearly upset her. So it's not like they talked about Billy Graham and she's all good. No, she was deeply upset, right? And that's why instead of saying, as a human being would do, I clearly upset you, can we talk about this? Darth immediately went on the defensive and was rude and attacked her. And that's the problem.
Yeah, I
If
think
if
her issue
somebody
was
comes
the
to you,
actual
no,
interaction,
if somebody
Haiti.
comes to you and says you upset me, whether they're right or wrong, you know, and especially if you're crying, you don't just attack them, do you? You say, I'm
Yeah,
so sorry. I'm sorry you're upset. Let's
Haiti
talk
makes
about this.
Haiti makes an excellent point, right? What if Haiti, for no reason, right, or not no reason, she was triggered by something that we all perceive to be innocuous, but for whatever reason she is upset by it. She's upset by it to the point where she's crying, right? And she's just like, can you please not use the word like heathen or something, because like for some reason that has like personal significance to her. And then she's like, she gets really mad or upset. Like, what kind of person would just be like, see someone crying in front of them and upset and
F
be
you.
like, F you, I'm gonna say whatever I want?
Yeah.
Like, that's,
I mean,
what kind of person does that?
I'll tell you what kind of person. Someone who has zero empathy. Zero. That's what kind of person. And that's why Silver Star was upset. He said that's not how you talk to a sister in Christ.
I
And
think
that's
Silver
I
Star
I
will
was
say
I would
this.
upset
say
because he thought
that's not
Darth
how
was
you
moving
talk
in
to a
on him. Is my view.
human
Yeah,
being.
I mean, I will say this, guys. Matt and I mean, we've been in the trenches as far as dealing with atheists, and we are
Connie
constantly.
is not an atheist.
No.
Connie's
What
not
I'm
an atheist.
trying to say is, I'm just okay. A people coming at us with absolutely lack of empathy, totally accusational, false accusations,
So
and
what? So
Yeah, well,
what?
what do you expect
rudeness,
from godless heathens?
profanity.
We're talking about an
She's a
intra-Christian
Yeah,
sister in
discussion.
Christ.
all I'm
Exactly.
saying
She's a
is
sister
that
in Christ.
I in no way blame these people, these individuals, for what they do. I used to have a little cliche: atheists will be atheists, and so
This is
there's certainly
irrelevant.
expectations, sure, of Christians to behave in quote unquote a Christ-like manner, of course, right?
Let me
But
ask let me
but
let me
these
ask you a question,
expectations
John.
are just that
Guys,
of us
this
people.
is embarrassing.
John, let me ask you a question, man. Do you think that Darth objects to like hashing out conflicts with Christians in public? Do you think that's the case?
I do think that just from my brief experience with some of the things I've been hearing, I think he would rather discuss them privately. If that's an answer to your
Okay.
question.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do right now is I have an actual playlist. There's so many videos of him interrogating and going after and rebuking and chastising other Christians. Do you think that Connie was the first person who cried while talking to Darth? I'll give you a
No,
hint.
I
The
do
answer
believe
is
truly say
not.
here you have a video, something about
Oh,
maybe
this
someone
is not
crying.
just, yeah. It happened twice just on the Clubhouse saga, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find, there's an entire playlist, Darth versus other Christians. And just from me, like, trying to populate the playlist, it has 31 videos. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this, and let's see, how can I post this?
But I will say this, Tom.
Hold on a second
You
before
kind
you
of
go on.
okay.
Let me just show you. This goes from other Christians to Catholics, whatever, Protestants, whatever. But one of them's a 16-year-old girl who cries, right? Darth has no problem going after.
let me just
Hold
say
on.
this, Tom.
How about you just let me finish, please? Please let me finish, and then I'll let you go uninterrupted. I'm not going to interrupt you when you answer. He has no problem, and I think a playlist of 31 videos is kind of evidence enough of that, right? That's great evidence. He doesn't have any problem going after Christians in public. What he objects to is someone recording it. That's why he would be receptive to doing this in back channels.
Yeah, and that very well may be. I mean, listen, it's true. I've only met Darth personally 6 weeks ago, but I've known about him for years and years. Many people I know personally interacted with him, whether it's recorded or not. And so, I mean, Tom Jump, for example, T Jump, I know him personally, and the one of the videos I've seen of him, Darth was literally berating him, and
Yeah, but
Tom
T Jump's
Jump
not a
was
Christian, right? And I was under the impression that we're talking about Christian and on Christian relations,
okay.
right?
With regard to Christian and Christian, I can't really think of many interactions because I always see him interacting with other skeptics and things like that. So
Well, look,
this is
you
right.
seem to be like you're skeptical. You're just sort of agnostic about it due to lack of information. I'm telling you. I'm saying, John, I have a playlist here of 31 videos of him interacting with other theists, predominantly other Christians. Would you like to have it?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Tom. No disrespect, but I'm always given information, videos, and so forth about not to the degree you're trying to provide. 31 videos. It's usually just one or two, but I honestly tell them that I'm not interested, only because I'm not interested in some sort of like drama, in a sense that usually people are trying to give me information to to talk negatively about other people, but more
No.
importantly,
That's
to
fine.
make
That's fine.
themselves
Yeah, I
innocent.
understand.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that,
I
like,
appreciate that.
that's I don't. Yeah,
But
that's.
but
I
I'll tell you
Hold
waited
what.
on. Let me
all
respond.
this
Let me
time.
respond, please. Let me respond.
Let,
That's
let
fine.
the
That's
quiet
fine.
guy say
Hold on.
something. I waited all this time just to hear you say you're not interested in this drama.
That's correct.
That's funny. Okay, that's fine. You cannot watch that. You know, if you don't want to watch the videos, that's fine. But I'm just saying that, like, I made a claim. You made a claim about what you think his motivations are. And I supported my claim and I offered you 31 videos. Okay, what happened is you denied it, right? You said, I don't want to look at it. So when this claim
Wait a
comes
minute.
up, when this claim,
I forwarded something about his motivations. I don't recall me doing anything like that,
yeah, you're
Tom.
saying that you don't think that he likes to hash these things out with Christians in public. And like we talked about the reasons why, right?
From my brief experience here, from my understanding, he um, um, initiated. He attempted to discuss things with certain individuals privately, and so this is the only information I have. And so I guess what you're
It's
trying to say
well,
is
it's the only information that you have by choice, right?
right, right. And
Because
so
I've
that
offered you additional information and not, and
right.
you're
No, this is
referring
the
to
thing.
one.
I
Hold on, can
perfectly
I finish, man?
yeah,
You're
but
referring to
I
one piece
accept the
of
information.
information that you have, and you said, this is the only piece of information I have. Well, I just offered you 31 additional opposing pieces of information, and you declined it.
Now, I'll say this, Tom, that even without the evidence, I don't, I was never skeptical of your idea, proposal that that's not the case, that he does come publicly, and so I didn't want you to have the misimpression that I deny what you're saying. I was just asked the question with regard to I thought a specific context of what's been going on here in the clubhouse. That's my understanding. I've never uh, seen Darth trying wanting to hash out something in public, whether it's Connie, whether it's other people. Just these are all.
Yeah,
Uh,
Darth.
I, I've seen the desire to deal with it privately. That's all I'm saying. Now, if you tell me
Yeah,
He
but
that
surely
there's
you
demanded.
can't
plenty of
maintain that
examples where
position
he
now.
doesn't, I
Yeah,
would believe you too as well. You
look,
know what I'm saying?
I'm saying that yes, he does have the desire to hash some of these things out privately, but it's not because of some sort of like, we as Christians shouldn't like air. He doesn't care about any of that. If he wants to hash it out privately, it's just because he doesn't want to be on YouTube.
And I could believe that too. But I will say this. Here's a comment that you asked me. Something like, "Could such and such a situation cloud my idea of certain things?" I would actually ask you, Tom. Could it be possible because of some of
Absolutely, it's possible. Yes, absolutely, it's
yes, because a
possible.
couple of things you said. With regard to me personally, I thought it was a little bit inaccurate, not completely inaccurate, but there was just a little bit of inaccuracy based upon maybe a certain idea of something, but not great or anything like that. But I
Like
think
what? That I
um,
thought that you had like some kind of like sympathies towards Darth due to like him being the enemy of your enemy, something like that.
right, that was
Oh,
actually the
I think
specific
that's the
one I was
case.
talking about, actually, Tom. I do think I think that hypothesis is a little bit misplaced.
Oh, I don't think so at all. I think it's a good hypothesis. I mean, like, I think you're maybe misunderstanding. Like, what I'm saying, like, doesn't even have to come in like huge moves. You know, it can come in little things, and and it's also compatible with you saying, "Hey, Darth, I'm going to mute you, move him down, or whatever." It doesn't mean that there's no bounds to like the abuse you'll take to Darth because he like went at Silver Star. That doesn't mean that. It just means that, like, look, these people wronged you in a way, and like when you see the people that wronged you fighting someone else who you have like very little background knowledge of, and like, yeah, I think you're gonna be sympathetic towards them.
But this is my entire point, Tom. The reason why it's your supposition is not tenable is because prior to the Connie instance, immediately prior, there was no campaign to block Darth. And I gave you an example of it was either that morning or the day before. I was actually criticized by many of the same people for muting Darth. And so I guess what I'm
But
trying
I
to
already
say is that
explained to you, this is evidence for my hypothesis. Right?
so maybe you're saying that because I was criticized, I took that criticism and let him go rather than containing him. Is that? But it has nothing
When
to
you
do
were
with.
raked over the coals by Silver Star
Mhm.
and Progressing
No,
Pilgrim
it wasn't even
over,
Silver Star and Progressing Pilgrim that personally messaged me. It was actually certain other individuals.
what does that have
And
to do with anything? That's why is that
because
incompatible with
you're
anything I'm
trying to
saying?
tie it into them. Their
Yeah.
their public and open opposition to Darth Dawkins happened a full day after that Connie incident, not a single hour before.
I'm saying that I think that their chastising of you rubbed you the wrong way, did it not?
Yeah, with
Yeah, it
regard to
did.
the chastisement of me, like I said, they blocked me for 6 weeks, long before they even considered blocking Darth. Okay, they were actually reaching out to Darth in a sense of trying uh, to maintain some sort of allegiance or alliance or fellowship or however which we want to characterize that. And these are the very people that were critical of me for silencing Darth or muting Darth. And so I just find it ironic that these very people are now claiming to block Darth, and they're trying to have an agenda to do so. Not that I approve or disapprove of any, because people are entitled to do what they do, but I'm very clear on what's going on with me. I'm just hopefully trying to clarify it with you, Tom. I'm not trying to give you misinformation. I mean, I'm just trying to give you possible information to for that particular hypothesis. I just don't think it's tenable. Is all I'm saying.
Oh, it's absolutely tenable. Some tenable, it's evidenced even by some of the things that you said. But like, we can just agree to disagree about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. You're entitled. You're definitely entitled to what
But
you
I mean, it's kind of
because
like,
you are perceptive. I will say that. And so sometimes though, even though we're
yeah, I'm
very
not saying I
perceptive,
couldn't be wrong.
sometimes
I'll give that
yeah,
to you.
sometimes the lack of information um, gives us a conclusion that may not be accurate. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, I think it's probably destined really for like, you're probably going to be at odds because you, in order to like be friendly with the Darth in that way, you have to accept a certain range of transgressions, right? You have to be okay with like this range where Darth is going to make these demands upon you, and it, like, as you've already kind of demonstrated, you're not actually cool with just like going along with some of the extremes for your particular range, right? So you'll just flat out refuse, like, no, I'm not going to boot this person, no, I'm not going to mute this person. You just say like no, right? And when that happens, as you've seen, what happens is like, oh, you've shown your true colors, and right, you just toss it aside because you no longer have any utility, right? And that's his MO.
Well, I'll tell you what.
And the second that you have utility again in a situation, he's going to be friendly to you again.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this, Tom. Clearly, uh, uh, I need to decide how to moderate a room with the presence of Darth Dawkins. I'm not going to block him from the room. All people are welcome, Christians, atheists, whoever. Now, the question is, there are certain individuals that are sort of a thorn on my side. And I'm not talking about Darth, and they'll see that I'm in a room and they'll come and do their little, routine, and I just think that maybe Darth is just another person who wants to go through his routine. He may not be patient enough to wait in turn for his turn, at which point I need to be, saying, well, there are people ahead of you. I think we tried that a little bit today. But I will say this. I mean, um, for me, it's a learning process for me in a sense that, well, okay, clearly, Darth is a certain type of personality
Dick.
that tends to, I mean, take over a room in a sense, and uh, you know, me as a moderator, irrespective of what he may send to me on the back channel or in public, I have to make decisions fairly. That's what I'm attempting to do. I'm not, because if I do this, I guarantee, listen, I get literally 20 messages right now that I didn't even
Right.
check on the back channel.
Look,
People giving me advice on what to do. And so,
look,
uh, you
I
know,
don't think you're doing horrible. I just thought, as long as you know like what's going on, that can probably inform you
well, I'm not, I
well,
mean,
and that can probably inform you well on how to proceed. But like, just make no mistake, Darth Dawkins is on here, Clubhouse, and whatever platform uh, else, right? Whatever other platform, he's on here for primarily one reason, and that is to pwn people intellectually in any way he can. Atheist, theist, um, it doesn't really matter. A theist will do when there's no atheist, and it's all just to extract narcissistic supply. And once you understand that, that can inform most of your decisions, right? If you want to like allow him to do that to other Christians and so forth, even other atheists or whatever, then whatever. But if you
yeah.
don't actually, if you haven't caught on to that and you've actually watched or know him and observed him, then I would just call you insane. I would think that you're literally just, you're completely delusional.
And I will say this, Tom, you made a comment. You said, once I understand that. Now, Darth's only been at this 10 years. I've been at this 23 years. And my point is this: what Darth does and the descriptions that you made, you may not know me, but I have a certain reputation in Facebook anyway. Text, albeit not audio or video or anything like that, but that was me in a sense. So are you telling me, like, once I understand it, I was that for a good part, many years, and
Great.
so the thing is
What was your
this:
motivation for acting like that?
hatred of atheists.
Why?
Why did I hate atheists?
Because like,
Because
look, just keep in mind that,
you're asking me, right?
well, let me clarify, because you said hatred of atheists, and I said why. I said why do you think he acts like? I'm sorry. Why were you acting like that? But you said hatred of atheists, right? But as we've already established, he'll act like this to anyone, right? I mean, are you saying that you were exclusively trying to get like narcissistic supply or internet tonnage on just a particular group? Just
And
atheists?
in my particular case, it was kind of directed exclusively toward atheists, not other Christians. Didn't really have a problem. In fact, many were kind of rooting me on, so to say. It's only these days I have some sort of backlash in a sense. And so, as far as me, my motivation was to eviscerate the atheist worldview in a
Yeah, but
sense. And
to why?
mm,
Because I mean, it's clear that Darth is like the hugest narcissist on the internet, right? He's like textbook NPD, right? Are you saying that was your motivation too?
Yeah, I wouldn't deny that narcissism had a great deal to do with my particular motivation.
Okay, well then, I mean, you can.
Tribalism.
Well then, that's actually great that you have. Well, I mean, from what I've seen, you you're not acting like that now. So, my question would be, how the heck did you beat it?
Yeah, Tom, let me tell you something. I proposed to Darth in this group a one-on-one, no one else on stage, just a one-on-one interview with Darth Dawkins because I know when I first met him, he always says, "Don't believe the videos that you see about me." And so I would like him. He seems to want to tell his own story, so to speak. So, I mean, I would love to have that interview. And not only that, if you are willing to post that interview unedited, in a sense, that on your channel, to actually have Darth explain his side of the story, I think the
Sure,
audience
absolutely,
deserves that.
absolutely, 100%. You know
Great.
that Darth even said I think one time he said yeah, like about 90% of the videos on my channel are just he has no problem with. He just has problems with like certain titles that he thinks aren't accurate, like "Made Connie Cry" or something like that. But
Yeah.
if you look at my channel, the videos are primarily just an interaction from the beginning to the end. The things that I edit out are long pauses and other people interjecting that are irrelevant maybe. But if I was like whole cloth making Darth say things that he never said or just like completely misrepresenting him, it would be all over. He wouldn't be able to stop. He doesn't say that though.
Yeah, no, Tom, I've seen your videos. I don't see you as someone who edits in a way to misrepresent, to quote mine, or anything like that. But I will say, as far as the title, I will take issue to one of the titles when you said somehow like he flipped Matt and I. I read that title and I kind of laughed in the sense that
Yeah, that one is a little
I did
cheeky.
think that was
Yeah, that's a little cheeky. Yeah.
misleading. Hmm. And so, I'm not going to speak for other titles because they don't really involve me per se. But just on that particular one, I don't disagree at all with the content of your videos, and I do believe you're honest in a way of properly representing the events that occurred. And so, I
Yeah,
don't have a
if someone had a huge issue with me, oh my, I would love to see what someone who actually is dishonest, like what they would have to say about them. Oh my god.
So, I mean, you do what you do. You have subscribers. You have people clearly who are interested in the material you put out. And I have a lot of YouTube friends, by the way, and not just Christians, but Muslims, atheists. And you kind of you have particular material for a specific audience, and I'll tell you what, Tom, I am one of those audience members that am fascinated by some of the stuff you put out. So
Yeah, I mean a
I
lot of it is
I'm
very
a
entertaining.
subscriber.
That's great.
Right.
Can I go back really quick because I'm actually really curious because I'm very interested in I'm interested in religious discussions and stuff like that, but I think what kept me in this community was and it continues to interest me more and more is psychology, right? So when you told me that you had some kind of like narcissistic compulsion to engage in like internet ponage to like fulfill some kind of desire you had or whatever we're calling Darth's thing, like, and you say like I was like that and then you're not like that anymore, I have
Yeah.
to ask you, how did you beat it?
How did I what?
How'd you beat it?
Oh, the Holy Spirit, of course. Now, if you know what's interesting, when I first met Darth, he had 2 Corinthians 10:5 on his bio, and that was my motto for about 15 years in text. And so, if you notice now, I have a different motto. And so, well, I have a different verse to represent what I'm about these days. And so this is something that I've come across. And let me tell you, when I read these verses uh, a long time ago, not that long ago, but a while back, it cut me to the. It's something that we as Christians probably read scores of times, if not hundreds of times. And that particular day, it really cut me to the core. It was some of the interactions I was having. You know, there were groups of atheists, like entire groups, where I'm on the top of the list. The group was called Trolling the Trolls, and so they had me as a troll. And so I was on the number one list to be mass reported, and sure
Mm,
enough, successfully they removed my Facebook account. And so I had no account, and so I created a new account. I had like 5,000, contacts, so to speak, and so that all of the material I was putting out there was taken away. And so as I began the new account, um, that particular series of verses just stood out to me, and it really cut me to the core in a sense that
what's the
my
verse? Is it long? Can you read it?
what was that?
What's the verse? Is it long? Can you read it?
Yeah, I'll read it to you. Um, if I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship, that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. And so that to me is what I'm about now,
Right.
in a sense that love is everything. Jesus commanded us not to not to win over arguments or anything, but to
Hmm.
love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love our neighbor as ourselves. Two are the commandments that Jesus Christ himself gave his followers.
Right.
And so
Is that
it
red
is about
text?
love. Yes, it's definitely red text.
That's great. Well, Jesus Christ also said, called people, uncircumcised in their heart, right? So he can call people whatever he wants. He can, right? Isn't that how it works?
Right. And so, I guess it's kind of like this, Tom. Like when you kind of have an understanding of somebody, you understand sometimes there's a history to this, and sometimes it's a matter of people needing healing from certain things in their past and so forth. And so
Right.
when you kind of have an understanding of it, because I'm also I also had addictions. And so people look down upon addicts, and
Right.
I went through a program, and so they condemn them and so forth. Now I have a different understanding, and so I guess when I encounter a person like Darth, I can relate to that type of mind frame because I had been uh, that way, and so I do think that I am sort of in a position to be able to converse with them and share. And this is the reason why I want to have a sit down with them, whether public or private, it doesn't matter. But I
Uh,
do want to have a conversation with them.
the verse that you read, um, yeah, I think that's a good verse, right? And but I think it shows that Darth can point to that verse about being uncircumcised in your heart, or you're already dead in whitewashed tombs or whatever. And it's almost like it reminds me of like a George R. R. Martin Game of Thrones prophecy, right? It's like they can literally just say they can point to anything to justify what they want, right? Right? I mean, Darth wants to internet pwn people. He can point to this passage, right? You want to be kind to people, right? You can point to this passage, and this is how I should act, right? In the times of slavery, right? People were quoting the Bible that were on both sides, right? So this is part of the real danger of like using these scriptures, right? Well, actually, that's probably not even right, because they're not really being used, right? Like, what the behavior comes first, and the justification from scripture comes after, right? But that's not how it should be, is it?
Yeah, I mean the way I look at it, I mean I meet, oh my goodness, the type of people that I meet online. I mean, I'll just give one example, the Hebrew Israelites. They read the same Bible I do, but have a certain interpretation that it just blows my mind sometimes. But with regard to with Darth, I do want to read what was my motto and is on his bio. I believe it's still
Which
on his bio. And
I
it's
want to add, you're
17.
culpable, John.
Yeah,
This is how I see it: is you're culpable because of that. You are
yeah.
encouraging people to believe that those words are the word of God, and you know that they can be and will be and have been interpreted in terrible ways and used to justify bad things.
Right. And so it's still, the truth is still the truth. People are entitled to twist the truth as they seem fit. But
Yeah,
my
I
point is,
think
I
you
just
missed
wanted
the
to
point.
read like 2 Corinthians 10:5, and this is this is what on Darth bio today, and this is the way that he conducts himself, because this is his motto, so to speak. And so it says, we demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ. And so this is his objective. This is his mission, so to speak. And in so doing, he uh, can be condescending to a particular worldview, but sometimes when there's personal attacks and so forth that I could think of throughout my life, uh, it builds up a sort of a resentment and animosity, and I think it just took its toll in a sense. I had a heart attack about 2.5 years ago. I do believe my interactions on the internet all those years contributed to that, and so I do
Hmm.
think that I had a physical toll because of that, and I do think that whatever Darts is doing these days, I think there is an underlying situation that simply uh, has to do with a sort of a healing that Darth needs, and hopefully I can facilitate that in a sense that not me in and of myself. Of course, the Holy Spirit that I believe exists, but I believe that once that happens, I, hopefully there will be a better and more fruitful interaction, because clearly a lot of people recognize that some of these discussions are really going nowhere in a sense.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I
so
think that
I'm a proponent of conversation.
you're look, I've said it to some of these pre-suppers in particular before, but if it's the case that you're on here as Darth proclaims to save people from the fire, um, why is he going about it in perhaps one of the most, not only ineffective ways, but possibly counterproductive ways? Like, I think that he might not just be like unconvincing to some people. I think he turns people away from the idea of Christianity in many cases.
I mean, in my case, I can speak for myself, Tom. Why did I do it? Because I knew that what I was saying was right. But just because someone says what's right doesn't necessarily mean that it has any power, that it has any effectiveness in what's being said. Um, that just because somebody yells, something that happens to be true, does not necessarily mean that people will heed that truth. And so the approach does matter in a sense, and the truth matters, uh, and uh, and the way that people receive that truth. To me, it doesn't make sense to cause a wall, so to speak, Hopefully, where people are open to receive the truth, to hear the truth, to not close their ears but open them. And
Well, I mean, just I don't know if you know this, but in my opinion, probably a lot of people think the same way. Darth Dawkins is an incredible force for atheism.
Yeah, he has a huge following of atheists, not Christians. I mean, that tells you all you need to know. How many people follow him as Christians? I don't know, 5? But thousands of people follow him who are atheists, and they love it. You
Yeah,
know?
he
I had
makes
a
a
lot of people
spectacle out of
follow me.
Christians, and um, it's no good for you guys. But
Yeah, I had a lot of atheists follow me, Haiti, to troll me and there are some certain comments I made. So being in text, they would post those screenshots consistently, even years later. And so just to portray a narrative of their certain names, so that anything I said was,
dismissed
muddied.
because of some previous like Twitter. Yeah, I mean, look, people change.
Right.
People change. I
Exactly.
try to I really try and think about like how long do I really want to hold something against someone? Like a year, 5 years, 10 years. 10 years ago, a person did this. Am I really committed to like being like, no, you're a piece of garbage? I mean, it's like I don't think so, right? And I think when people change, and like, granted, like there are changes that are sort of superficial and fleeting and all that, but if I think, if I actually genuinely think a person has changed, then I shouldn't still be holding that against them, right? At least not in the same way. Maybe I might keep it in the back of my head, but I think we should be really accepting of people changing. And a lot of times we hold people to things just forever, right? And I don't think that's right. But let me ask
Yeah.
you one last thing, John. Because
Yeah.
you said,
I did want to make just a very quick comment. About the change. I made my change public. And when I did, the response that I got from skeptics that I knew maybe 8 years or so, some of them just 6 years, 4 years, whatever. I think I had about 60% positive response, and I had about 40% that they're not going to believe it unless they see change, because they don't see, some of the comments like a leopard doesn't change the spots and so forth and so on. So that's about the response I got. About 60 positive, 40% negative.
right, pretty much the only thing that can be proof of said change is going to be time, right? And that time frame is going to vary for.
Amen. Amen.
But let me ask you. So when I asked you, like, you said, "Oh, I was just like Darth," and I said, "How did you beat it?" And you said the Holy Spirit. Does that imply that Darth doesn't have the Holy Spirit?
No, it just means that sometimes we, in and of ourselves, you know, block the light of God, and so because of our sin, and sometimes the Holy Spirit acts to reveal our sins because we're blinded by our own sin oftentimes. And
Well, the process of maturing in a Christian looks awfully like the process of maturing in an atheist.
well, the source is clearly different, Vigil, and so maybe within a godless worldview, that this source may be the inner self. I personally
No,
don't believe that to be the case.
my point is the source is exactly the same.
Yeah, I would reject that.
Right. Well, I
You're
don't want
rejecting
to.
the evidence you're talking about.
I'm gonna bow out, but I just want to say to John and Matt,
Tom, I have one question
yes, go ahead.
before you bail out. Do you think we'll see a conflict between Darth and Silver Star at any point in this arc?
Like direct?
Yeah.
Probably not likely, because when like I think if they get into some sort of discussion, like one of them will be in a position where they have mods, and they'll use them, and the other person will just leave, or vice versa, and just like Darth and Silverstar and these types with very strong personalities, they don't like to get into discussions with other very strong personalities, right? That's why there's no Darth versus Jay Dyer. There's no Darth versus, like, I don't know who else, right? If they do, they don't last
Matt
long.
Dillahunty. There's no Darth versus Matt Dillahunty.
Well, that one would potentially last long because Darth is gonna want Darth wants it to last long, and he's going to try and be on his best behavior within the range of what is going to be perceived to be acceptable to try and extend it, because he wants to try and extract as much ponage from Matt Dillahunty as possible. But anyway, as far as like other Christians who are very have very strong personalities, no, he doesn't do it.
Yeah, I would like to answer
That
Daniel's question. I see it kind of agree with Tom. I think I see them simply just disregarding each other, not necessarily clashing with each other. Already, one of them blocked each other, so that alone will minimize interaction. So that's
I
just how
think
I see
there'll
it.
actually be more conflict with Darth involved or Silver Star involved with people like John and I, who are kind of in the middle of the whole situation. You might have Silver Star rebuking one of us, or you might have Darth rebuking one of us, or something of that nature, as opposed to them two actually, each other. But yeah, I agree with John. I don't see them ever really talking it out or anything like that.
Yeah, I just want to say to Tom, I think Dueling Rebukes is like one of their finest works, and it's extraordinary. It's like it's really good. Have you got a lot of feedback from people just saying how
Yeah, a
entertaining
lot
that
of
was?
people love
That is
the
so
Clubhouse
fucking good,
stuff.
dude. Dude, I
Yeah.
want to thank you for that. That is just incredible.
Well, I mean, hey, become a patron, right? That's the best way to thank me.
Well, I will say the other day, Darth was very
Nah, I'm good on
impressed
that.
with your little Lego Darth Vader thing when Silver Star was talking about using Darth as a name and was kind of mocking that in front of everybody, and
Baby
then you
Darth.
popped, yeah, baby Darth, and you popped up the little Lego thing. Darth was actually laughing at that and actually giving you credit, saying that you had
I'm
some
still trying to
style
get
there.
Dick Vader to catch on.
Tom definitely has a sense of humor.
Yeah, I
Yeah, and I
mean, I
think
do.
I think Darth actually kind of appreciates your art, so to speak, and stuff. I don't know what y'all. I know that y'all. I've seen that you both, I think, had a debate on YouTube, what, a year or so back or something. Um, but I do think he kind of finds it kind of funny, some of your videos and stuff, which I do too. I find them kind of entertaining myself. But I think Christians, in my view, need to at least be aware that will be on YouTube, so you kind of have to be careful what you're gonna say. I would much rather have a video of Darth destroying an atheist or going against an atheist as opposed to arguing with a Christian. But I guess that for you, the views are probably more when Christians are arguing. That's probably more of an entertaining thing. But the way I look at that is Christians are going to disagree on stuff. I would like to see Darth and Silver Star come to some sort of maybe agreement, but I just don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Matt, it's not the disagreement. It's the performance. It's the behavior. That's what makes it so entertaining. If it was just two
Well,
Christians having
true,
a
yeah.
civil
I mean,
discussion
I
about
agree. You've
doctrine,
got
no
two
one would be
hard-hitting people. I
interested.
agree. Yeah.
It's more
And
like
that's
it's
why
more
people
like
love Matt Dillahunty. They love watching him cut people off and hang up on them and call them
yeah,
dishonest and stuff like that. Yeah, I agree.
and it's just kind of like he even talks to Christians like this. It's like there's no, it's not even partisan. It's just everyone. That's the fun of it.
Well, I wouldn't say he talks to all Christians like that. I mean, he's not talked to
Okay,
me like that yet. He might eventually, but he hasn't yet. So
yeah, give it time.
Yeah, I
Give it
mean the
time.
point is that like when Darth says something to John like, "Hey, don't believe the YouTube videos. It's not actually how I am." It's like I don't really know what that means. It's just like he's definitely like that, and I mean you can look at the videos, and it's not hard to create a video where he acts like a child every single day, right? That just means that yeah, you're like that at least some capacity every single day. Can you be nice to people also? Of course, yeah, there's been instances where he's been nice, but like look, it's just like this is a pattern of behavior that this is how you routinely act, right? And I cannot make videos at that frequency for like other people. It's not possible because they don't do it. But
But I always say, to people, the behavior of certain individuals does not demonstrate that the proposition of what they believe is false. And I think logically, if we look at it that way, then
sure.
people's behaviors are relevant to what they believe.
Well,
Now,
I'm
of
there's
not
course,
sure
of
that's
course, of
true.
course, I believe. I look. Let me just agree with you. Of course, like that's fine. If someone's mean, that doesn't mean that um, the tallest mountain
put
is
that
Mount
simply.
Everest or whatever. But let me just say that John and Matt, thanks for listening. And I gotta go. So I appreciate your attempt to at least kind of like hear me out and think about things kind of objectively. Just remember that like we're all biased, right? I'm biased. You have your biases. Matt, you have your. Everyone has their biases. They're only a problem if they get in the way, right? They're only a problem if they get in the way, though. So, all right. Anything else? I want to take off.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, Tom. I appreciate the conversation.
Okay. Guys, have a great day.